I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Senator John Barrasso labeled high prices as the, quote, Biden economic crisis on the Senate floor Wednesday. According to data from AAA, as of Wednesday, the national average gas price is over $4.95. Barrasso's criticisms echo those of Republicans as a whole. 40-year high inflation and high costs of gas and everyday goods is taking a toll on President Biden and Democrats as they head into the midterms. Here's more from the Wyoming Republican.
Madam President.
Senator from Wyoming.
Thank you, Madam President. I come to the floor today to talk about another Biden crisis. We just had my friend and colleague from Oklahoma talk about the crisis that he saw at the southern border on his trip there very recently. We hear from other colleagues about the crisis of crime in our cities across the country as another failure of this administration. And now I come today to talk about the Biden economic crisis, which is hitting families in all of our states, in all of our communities, and the thing that I heard the very most about when I was home in Wyoming last week. Across the country, summer is almost here. It's time for barbecues, visiting friends, and family vacations for many. This year, it will be many fewer who will be able to afford what has been a natural part of their family lives. The American people have just been through the most expensive Memorial Day ever, and it's been painfully expensive for families across this country. This is just a preview of the summer of stress that families are going to be facing all across America. Hamburger meat today is at the highest price ever. Chicken, highest price ever. Gallon of gasoline, highest price ever. Gas prices, they say inflation is up a certain percentage. Gas prices have doubled since Joe Biden's become president. 100% increase in gas prices since the Democrats became in the majority in the Senate and Joe Biden was sworn in to the White House. Gas prices in America under Democrats have gone up 15 out of 16 months since Joe Biden came to the White House and Chuck Schumer came to be majority leader. Gas now costs more than $4 a gallon on average in every state of the union, and we're approaching $5 on average across the country. In the liberal paradise of California, the gas price today is over $6 a gallon, if you can find it at that price. Financial analysts who look at this thing, they recently predicted that the average price of a gallon of gasoline nationwide could be $6.20 all across the country this summer. So what does the President of the United States and the Democrats in this body have to do about that? What is the solution? Because people are looking for solutions, and the Democrats say, we run the place, we're the House, we're the Senate, we're the White House, we run the place. Well, where are your solutions, I would say to those Democrats? Oh, Joe Biden has a solution. I think I'll go and beg for oil from Saudi Arabia. I think I'll go and beg for oil from Saudi Arabia. The Democrat policy on energy seems to be anything but American energy. The Biden administration has already been begging Venezuela, Iran, the OPEC cartel, and even Vladimir Putin to sell us more oil. We've seen that all in the last year. If North Korea had oil, I'm sure the Democrats would go and try to beg them as well. This president would rather beg the Saudis to sell us energy than to let hardworking American energy workers get it out of the ground here at home. Now, don't need to go to Saudi Arabia, don't need to go to Iran, don't need to go to Venezuela, don't need to go to OPEC, don't need to go to Russia. We have it here at home in America, and we have abundance of energy. Joe Biden is transferring the wealth of our nation to the Middle East. And why? Because that is a decision by Joe Biden and the Democrats. Send our wealth to the Middle East rather than use the wealth that we have here in America. Joe Biden has blocked off the vast majority of federal lands from energy exploration and production. Even on the remaining federal land, Joe Biden continues to cancel major oil and gas lease sales. Just last week, while members were home, the Biden administration, with none of us in Washington but all of us at home, said they're going to redo the environmental reviews of leases made by the previous administration. Now, this includes 2,000 leases in my home state of Wyoming. For every existing energy lease, Joe Biden has done what he can to stop production there. He has put 4,300 drilling permits in limbo. And what does he say about this? He said it in Japan. He said, we are going through an incredible transition. He said, quote, God willing, this is Joe Biden, President of the United States, God willing, he said, when it's over, this incredible transition that we're going through, he says, we'll be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels. What Joe Biden is saying to every American is, tough luck, take your medicine. Take your medicine, pay the price, because we're going through an incredible transition, and God willing, when it's over, you're going to be stronger. The real transition that's happening today is we're going from a nation of energy dominance to an energy-dependent nation. We're going from prosperity to poverty and from wealth to weakness, and that's what we're getting from the Democrats in Congress, the Democrats in the Senate, the Democrats in the House, and Joe Biden. Today, we are still producing 1 million barrels of oil fewer than we were before the pandemic. And so what do Democrats want to do? Once again, the Secretary of Treasury was with us yesterday, they want to raise taxes on the American public and on American energy. Well, what do you think higher taxes on energy production are going to do when oil is already at a point where people are paying $5 a gallon for gasoline? For Democrats that choose to go home and listen to people at home, I would imagine they're getting an earful from the people at home. One Democrat member of the Senate was on TV bragging yesterday in a hearing, and I saw it replayed a number of times, bragging that she didn't care how high energy prices went. Didn't care at all because she had an electric car and drove it here from her home to Washington, D.C. So, didn't matter. Oh, if you can't afford to have $55,000 to buy an electric vehicle, too bad for you. That's the Democrats' response. That's what we're seeing in this country to which Joe Biden has led into crisis after crisis after crisis. High energy prices, of course, mean higher prices for almost everything else. High energy prices are already driving up food costs. Any senator who went to a grocery store, I'm not sure how many Democrats do the shopping for themselves, how many Democrats saw how high food prices are. I certainly saw it in Wyoming this past weekend. Food prices are rising at the fastest rate in 40 years. Does a single Democrat senator make reference to that, talk about it, come up with try to solutions for it when we have a solution? Joe Biden can't blame Vladimir Putin for high food prices. The price of food has gone up every single month since Joe Biden came into office. High energy prices, high food prices, a 40-year high of inflation in this country today. So inflation has driven the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates. What does that mean? Well, for seniors and retirees who are watching their savings and their retirement melt away, it means a lot. Interest rates have gone up, mortgage applications have dropped. Many Americans are giving up on their dreams of even owning their own home. Young mothers can't buy or find infant baby formula to buy. Joe Biden saw that one coming, or didn't see it coming. People saw it coming. Mothers saw it coming. It was ignored by the administration. Once again, they dropped the ball, and the president was caught by surprise. 7 out of every 10 stores in America has run out of baby formula. There have already been cases of children hospitalized because they can't get the right kind of formula. And what did the Biden administration finally say? They admitted they knew about the crisis last year. But yet they did nothing. Month after month after month, this administration did nothing. That's kind of what we got with this president. A president is too slow to react, too slow to act, too slow to respond to the needs of the American people. No wonder they're nicknaming him Too Slow Joe. That's what we have at the White House today. It's a disgrace. The country deserves better. Americans of every background and every stage of life are being punished by the bad policies of Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress. For most Americans, this is the worst economy they have ever seen. More and more Americans are having to borrow money just to pay the bills to try to keep up. Household debt is near an all-time high. Credit card debt is near an all-time high. The average car in the United States is now 12 years old. This is a record high. I would have to say to my colleague who bragged about having an electric car and driving it here and not caring about the fact that gas prices are going up, actually laughing about it, seemed to me, well, you're different than most Americans, I would have to say, because most Americans can't do what you do, don't have that opportunity. The United States average car, 12 years old, because that's what people can afford. They can hardly afford the gas to go in it. Can't afford to buy a new car or a used car, let alone an electric car. Since Joe Biden became president, prices have gone up faster than wages. And that is the complaint I continue to hear about at home. Month after month after month, the buying power of the average American family keeps going lower and lower and lower. Now, two-thirds of the American people are talking about living paycheck to paycheck with nothing left over. Nothing. As a result, the American people are feeling stuck and stressed and squeezed. The pessimism of the economists is only exceeded by the pessimism of the American people and about the Joe Biden economy. All told, Joe Biden's economic crisis has become a perfect storm of bad economic news. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase. He warned of the upcoming economic hurricane. The economic hurricane is a perfect storm of record inflation, record debt, shortage of necessities, higher interest rates, vanishing savings, shrinking economy. The Biden inflation crisis is quickly spiraling into an all-around economic crisis. If Democrats continue on this path, it's going to get a lot worse soon. Inflation for producers is even higher than inflation for consumers. In fact, inflation for producers has been the highest on record. Wholesale prices for producers went up 11% in the last year. That means higher prices for the people who grow our food, build our buildings, keep the lights on. Inflation for producers today means inflation for consumers tomorrow. After 13 months of this inflation crisis that the administration kept ignoring, kept denying, kept refusing to admit was here, kept saying wasn't coming, Secretary says, well, if it comes, Secretary of Treasury said, small chance it comes, which it'll be manageable. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. If there is any light at the end of the tunnel, it's because the freight train marked recession is about to hit America. Inflation is so bad, Democrats can't even deny it anymore. So they create it, they ignore it, they deny it. They blamed inflation on everybody else. Yesterday at the Finance Committee, the Secretary of Treasury said, no, it wasn't them, Democrats, it was, she denied. She said, no, it was Putin, it was the pandemic. But now Democrats want to make it worse. Well, it took about 14 months, but Janet Yellen admitted earlier this week on a CNN interview that she had been wrong about inflation. And that when she said it was a slight risk, she was mistaken. When she said it was manageable, she was mistaken. She said, I was wrong about the path inflation would take. This is the Secretary of Treasury for Joe Biden, his hand-picked person to run the economy. She also admitted that inflation is a matter of supply and demand. And the spending in the American Rescue Plan did feed the demand. I think she's talking about the $2 trillion that every Democrat voted for and every Republican voted against. The $2 trillion that even Democrat economists said, don't do that, it's going to make us have bad inflation. And we had bad inflation. But Joe Biden and the Secretary of Treasury and every Democrat in the House and Senate voted in favor of pouring fuel on a fire that turned into the inflation we are facing today. This was an enormous mistake on the part of the Democrats, the President, Chuck Schumer, and every Democrat in this Senate, all the Democrats in the House, and Nancy Pelosi, and it is costing the average American family today $5,000 more this year than last year just to stay even. Not to get ahead, just to stay even. Democrats were warned. They were warned by Republicans. They were warned by their own experts, and they ignored it, simply, flatly ignored the warnings, passed the largest spending bill in American history. And ever since that day, inflation has spiraled out of control. More than a year later, Democrats still don't have anything to offer beyond blame and excuses. Last week, the Secretary of Commerce was asked, is there one specific category of high prices where you think you can actually make a difference? This is her answer. She said, I wish. That's what Democrats are left with. Wishes. Wishes. No plan to fix the crisis that they have created. Joe Biden's so-called energy inflation plan made so many false promises. And he talked about this. He wrote an editorial in the Wall Street Journal. You would think that maybe somebody at the White House who wrote it would have been vetted before they gave it to the president, before he put his name on it. Got 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post, who talked about what the president had to say about energy as just being a lie. We know what we need to do. We need to stop the reckless spending. We need to unleash American energy. Instead of canceling lease sales, Joe Biden needs to open up federal lands to American energy production. Instead of canceling pipelines, Joe Biden should speed up the pipeline permitting process. Instead of begging other countries to sell us oil, we should get it out of the ground right here in America. Oh, we have the American energy skills and skilled workers to see us through this crisis. The president just needs to let them go to work. Working families have already been pushed to the breaking point. People are spending their savings, seeing it melting away. They've run up credit cards just to get by, and now recession is heading at us. We need to change course. The administration needs to change course because the Joe Biden economic hurricane is about to hit America. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.